picture of time of solution. See the power.
Hi, everybody. This is Carey Davidson, author of the Five Archetypes, an ancient technology for problem solving. And this is a channel for healing relationships with ourselves, with others, and with our world. And today we're here with Benjamin, an amazing, beautiful metal primary who's going to talk to us about something he'd like to change. So, welcome, Benjamin. Tell us, what would you like to change?
Thank you for having me. I think the first thing that I would like to change, there are many things I would like to change, but the first thing that I want to change is, I guess I'm always very hard on myself. I always set a lot, well, I would say high expectation for myself, and sometimes it gets in the way, and I want to try and fix that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a really helpful conversation for a lot of primary metals and a lot of
Mhm.
people around the world of all different elements. So I'm really appreciative that you're willing to talk about this with us.
Yeah, it's scary though, like to be so vulnerable. But yeah, I know I wanna work on myself and at the same time help as many people out there as possible.
Thank you. So, can you give me an example of a time when you've been hard on yourself like this?
Well, thinking back many years ago, I was actually me and a couple of guys were actually offered a recording contract. Back then, it was four guys to be together in a boy band. It was actually after this singing competition, Singapore Idol back then. Um, we went through training for about 6 months, almost 6 months, and then somehow along the way things didn't work out. There were some internal differences and all that. And eventually, of course, the band disbanded. It didn't even launch at all. It didn't even go through any recording and stuff like that. And then at that point of time, I felt very disappointed. I felt like, is it me? Is it? I started questioning myself, like, is this the universe trying to tell me something that maybe this thing is not meant for me? And this thing has always left a scar in me emotionally, and even moving forward with things, even other stuff like opportunities that came along my way. Always on the back of my mind, I always be thinking that, oh, maybe this is not meant for me. If something bad happens, if I don't get the job, I would think that, oh yeah, maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe again the universe is trying to tell me something.
So, what about the opposite? Have you had experiences or can you share when things work out well, what's what's the context of that? What's happening in your life when you hit the nail on the head or win something or get that job?
So when I get like, I mean, thinking back on those times where I do maybe get a role in audition or maybe win a singing competition, it always fuels me, like it fuels my dreams to move forward, and it always makes me confident, like maybe again this is like something that's possible. Um, but then sometimes like a roller coaster, going up and down, and when those bad times hit again, I always feel like I'm at rock bottom again. Yeah.
So have you ever had a period of your life that you can refer back to where stability was more available to you, that even in the face of ups and downs of life, that inside your mind or body, you were like, all right, I can handle this.
Hmm. I think it was back when I was 16, and I don't want to overthink this in the sense that which incident or which thing that caused this feeling. But it was back when I was 16 when I first started doing music. I knew that uh, every time when I work hard on something, no matter how slow or how I wasn't getting the results at first, but as long as I kept working at it, kept breaking down the details to it, eventually I will emerge like one of the better ones. And those times really were very inspiring because no matter as long as I work hard, I know I can see like results. Yeah. And it's not to say I don't work hard now. I do work hard now still. But yeah, maybe at the point of time when I was 16, things maybe felt more simpler back then. So the mindset maybe was like, okay, as long as I work hard, I'll get something.
Did you ever, maybe thinking back to the time when you were 16, did you ever work really hard for something or at something and something unexpected came as a result rather than the thing maybe you had your eye set on?
I think I did. I mean, scrolling back through my memory lane, right? There were moments that, okay, at 16, we were supposed to go to this um in Singapore we call it polytechnic. So what that means is basically you kind of like after you finish your secondary school or your basically your O levels, right? After that you would then decide what kind of course that you want to take. And at the point of time, I was very creative. I'm actually a very creative person. I like drawing, and it's something that I always want to do, even when I was young. Um, and so when I finished my exams, I was able to go to this like college thing, and I wanted to take interior design. But at the time, my friend he didn't. So long story short, basically we had to go for an interview, and show our previous artworks and all that. I didn't have any artwork because like I haven't really been drawing. It's only those past artworks that I've done before I just compiled together. And 2 weeks before the interview, I kind of drew a picture of a Ferrari because I saw a Ferrari picture that was hanging on my dad's wall. So I thought, why not just draw that? So I drew that. I went for the interview. I got I got into the course, but my buddy at the point of time, my really, really good friend at the point of time, didn't get in. And so being a very good friend at the point of time, I said like, you know what, since you didn't get in, let's not do this and let's do something else. Let's go for another course instead. So yeah.
I love so much about that.
Thank you.
What it shows me is this capacity that even though you doubled down and worked hard to get into something that was meaningful to you, you almost saw through the process deep meaning in friendship and
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I always feel that relationships are always very important to me. And sometimes well, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because sometimes it is so important that I I I worry so much of getting hurt that I sometimes put a wall in front of myself. And at the same time, um, when I try and be nice to someone or when I show concern and care for that person and he doesn't show it back, he or she doesn't show back, then it also hurts me, which is why sometimes I put a wall in front. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we can be hard on ourselves. Relationships are our biggest teachers. Yeah. So, one thing I want to ask you a little bit more about is you mentioned when you were 16 that maybe life was simpler, and maybe that was
Yeah.
part of why it was easier. Can you describe what you mean specifically by what is not simple now that was simple then?
Hmm. I think I think adulthood, right? Adulthood just came into the picture and like suddenly you have to think about responsibilities, you have to think about money, you have to think about like providing for your family, making sure you have a sustainable future. And so all these things, I don't know, make me start to think differently. I guess when I was 16 too, I didn't really manage my finances very well. I was whatever money my parents gave me, I kind of spend it on alcohol, parties, and sometimes I don't really think twice spending money. And so I guess it was the past experiences that happened or the past trauma that happened. It made me realize that I can't be like what I am in the past, and now I need to have a different mindset. So I guess maybe that was a shift.
So, back to your original question about, not being as hard on yourself. It seems to me almost Like, can we bring some of that youthful
Mm.
joie de vivre back in to your current state to
Mm.
release a little bit?
Yeah.
So if I were to be able to help you in this phone call and we hung up the phone and you're like, darn, my life is amazing and better and this is
Mm.
easier. What would that feel like when you wake up tomorrow morning? What would be different? How would you describe your life?
Hmm. I think to have control over my emotions and not um and to have control is not basically, it doesn't really mean that, oh, to turn on and off about my emotions, but to really reframe my mind sometimes, and also learning how to let go. Like if certain things didn't happen my way, or certain things didn't work out, it's okay, maybe it's okay to let go. I think, yeah, that's what it is. And maybe just basically waking up the next day feeling less heavy on the shoulders.
Okay, this is great. Are you ready for some five archetypes suggestions?
Yes, please.
All right. So, as we talked about, your primary is metal.
Mm,
Metal's gift in this world is to show us all what's valuable, what's not, so that we don't spend too much time on the stuff that's not valuable.
mm,
And in that space, it's easy to become hard on yourself and hard on others, as you described,
mm,
because there's this piece of you that knows the value of the wisdom that you have to share and is a little bit frustrated that other people maybe aren't getting it or don't see it.
mm. Sometimes guilty as charged.
Yeah. And so one of the things about five archetypes, there's healing in recognizing what we're amazing at and also softening our relationship to that, to needing to be seen and valued and acknowledged for that piece of us, because our primary is not the whole world's primary. So
Mm,
everybody else, not everyone else, like, the other primaries see the world in a very different way. And many of them
right.
have lowest metal and they don't know how to value metal in you or in themselves. And so, one practice I can give you to soften that jacket that you're wearing that feels heavy.
I need that. Yeah, check it off.
Yeah. One way to do that is to find self-confidence in knowing inside that, yes, you are a badass when it comes to what's valuable and what's not. And not everybody is ready. Everybody's on their own path. And you may give someone advice or you may come out as on perfect pitch and all the right things. And the world and the people you're engaging with may not be at the point in their life where they're ready to up level and to become more righteous, to take that path yet. They still have several steps. They need to make more mistakes to actually
Mm.
learn how, like, yeah, maybe, just because you told me I shouldn't date that person, if I have in my head, if to me it's fun to date that person, even though they're not nice to me, and you tell me, I might then get annoyed at you and not want to be your friend anymore because you're taking my fun away.
Okay, I have to admit there are many instances that actually happen like that. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you're not right and what you're offering isn't valuable. It means I'm still in my process of growth. And there's something in my lifetime that I'm not going to learn that lesson till I'm in my 60s. And that's just the way it's going to be, no matter how many metal people point out the mistakes I'm making.
It's like, I don't know, like I think for me, sometimes I'm concerned for the people, like people around me, and because you can see the mistakes and you don't want them to go through those challenging moments. You just want them to, like for example, dating someone that's bad, right? You don't want him or her to get hurt, and that's why you're trying to say, hey, look, this is what's happening. You need to be careful and stuff like that. But yeah, sometimes it's hard, right? I mean, like, and they don't listen, and then sometimes they put it back at me and like, come on, don't be a busybody or whatsoever. Yeah.
Yeah, so then this leads into, the other two things you wanted to talk about was how to let go and this idea of emotional flexibility. So
Mm,
if you lead with primary metal, you know in your soul that you know what's right. You understand what's valuable. And there's the potential that you share it and it's not accepted.
mm,
And so, right, I don't want to stop that you're a busybody. I don't want to stop dating that person. Um, so your next step is to let it go rather than to believe that their resistance to your ideas means anything about your value.
mm. Okay.
So, so in order for metal to let go, which is kind of your coping mechanism, it's the thing that metal needs to do in order to quickly become emotionally flexible
Mm,
and not get stuck in a rigid emotion or judgment of self or others. So what is letting go? That is the element of water. Water is the one that comes right after metal in the cycle. So it's fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. What? Something's fun. Is it funny?
no, 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 no. I'm just excited to hear like what's coming, because my form of letting go sometimes is just like, I'm not gonna care about this person anymore. This person is basically, I kind of write off this person and I'm just letting it go in that sense. But I don't think it's healthy. And I mean, of course, like, I'm sure there are ways to try and like let it go peacefully and calmly, and not bearing grudges and all that.
Well, yeah. So if you think about it, metal is we make scissors, knives, things that are literally cutting out of metal. Yeah. And your idea of calm and peace, that's the water element. It actually is. So water is the part of us that doesn't take anything personally, that doesn't feel like our feelings are the victim of someone else's choices.
Mm,
It's the capacity to separate ourselves, to build this kind of time and space away from the experience, the thing that happened, the thing the person said, and our own observance of it. And we get still and we look at it as if it's an object just passing
mm,
through, rather than as an identity maker or something that's enmeshed in us. It's not happening to us. It's a thing that's happening in our awareness that we can observe with some distance.
mm. Okay.
And as you observe that, you can have a relationship with it. And you can only change things you have a relationship with. Does that make
Wait,
sense?
can you elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah. So if someone says something to you that they didn't like your advice, right? You were wrong. Imagine if that hits you instantly and it feels like it's in your body
Mm,
and it's in your mind. And then it becomes something like a story chained that you believe the only way out of it is to cut the instigator out, like literally cut that part of me out so that it's not something I have to
mm.
relate to anymore.
Yeah.
So then you're not changing. You're actually just removing the problem. So and
Mm.
hoping it doesn't come back.
Yep, yep. And sometimes, I like sometimes I will think about, let's say, if the person says something hurtful to me, sometimes it'll just go through my mind again and again and again. Sometimes I cannot sleep, and the only way to, at least for now, is to just really literally cut it out and like no emotional attach. Then I wouldn't be in that state. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's very common for primary metal.
Mm,
Now, what's interesting is your biggest opportunity for growth is to start to have a relationship to these experiences, put them outside of you, and kind of imagine like, what am I injecting into this interaction? And what is the input? What's coming in from outside of me? What someone else said, whether it was cold outside and I forgot my coat, like what's happening in your environment. There are things, if
Mm.
you forgot to eat breakfast, you're probably not going to handle someone's opinion,
Uh,
right? So there are things you can do to your mind and body and your physical well-being that keep you adaptable to stress also,
mm, okay.
and allow you to have a good relationship to the things that are happening around you rather than it
Mm,
impacting you so much that it's in your body and the only way out is to cut it.
mm,
So your lowest element is earth.
okay.
So earth presents a beautiful opportunity for you. Earth is
Mm,
about food. So one thing I would invite you to do is, are you skipping meals? Do you remember to eat breakfast? Do you feel nourished by your food? Because when you
mm,
feel nourished and well fed, it's easier for your mind to tolerate discomfort.
mm, okay.
So that's just one thing. Earth is also all about relationships. How do we relate to our own thoughts, to other people, to disappointment, right? Rather than it being our identity, all these experiences you have, you can actually distance yourself a little bit from them and watch them as if they were a movie and kind of
Mm,
engage with, well, what does this mean? How am I because how am I different now in this engagement than I was when I was 16? Was
mm,
I had a sense of urgency now that I didn't have then. Can I bring that sense of
mm.
calm into my life now in some ways, even though I have to pay bills? Because that's the quality that gave you the capacity to see that even though you practiced really hard for something, the most beautiful outcome was something unexpected. It was a
Mm,
strengthening of the relationship with your friend.
mm,
And
okay.
so water is your capacity to go into something without needing to know the outcome. Having faith that hard work, dedication, integrity, value, all these things that come supernatural to you are righteous and beautiful, and there will be some magnificent
Mm,
outcome. But not needing to know what it is your capacity to have water. And
mm,
the earth part of you is that maybe some of the beautiful outcome that you're working towards that you don't know what it is yet has to do with building stronger relationships with other people. Because what if a lot of times we talk about our network being the way we get jobs, and people
yeah.
hire people and want to be around people who feel nurturing to them. Uh, Earth is also, who do I trust? It's building
Mm,
trustworthiness. It's building harmony. It's building lovely, easygoing conversations where we have each other's backs.
mm,
And who knows, maybe your practice, uh, you know, trying to get it right or preparing for an audition. Maybe a big part of that is letting go of needing to know the outcome, but
mm,
trusting that the process is going to bring you closer to those relationships that will help you achieve those beautiful outcomes. How does
mm.
how does that land for you?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And I think the first thought of my mind is like, okay, how am I gonna start applying all these things, so that it becomes that, so that moments like when, if I maybe say something to a friend and then the person gets offended and starts saying hurtful things to me, how do I then at that point of time not react, but take a second, like, hey, look, let's not get the emotions involved, but like really step back and like what you mentioned, look at it from a water point of view or look at an earth point of view as well. Yeah, so I'm just trying to, maybe figure a way how to start, working, putting this in place.
So I love that. I love that you're asking that. And I love giving you little things you could do.
Mhm.
So if you want to use the giving your friends advice as the starting point here, what happens is you benefit when you think ahead. And so each one of us, our primary is a reactive thought. It's an impulse.
Mm, mm,
So you are at risk for having an impulse to give your advice or your opinion.
mm,
So what I would invite you to do is slow down enough to notice when you're starting to have an impulse to give your opinion.
Mm, okay.
And then that's step number one. Step number two is as you begin to catch yourself having an impulse, then write yourself a script so that you memorize this, and you're probably good at that. Have a question in mind and say, like, let's say you're talking to Julie and Julie's telling you all these mistakes she's making, and you're like, oh, I know how to help her. And pull out of your pocket your script that says, Julie, it sounds like you're struggling. Would you like my opinion?
Right.
And then be totally fine if she says, no, I'm just venting.
Mm,
And then that
okay.
way you prevent that feeling of, I gave her advice and she's not taking it. Does that mean I'm wrong? Like, I know I'm
Mm,
valuable. What's wrong with me? So you prevent that whole fallout because not everybody is ready to know the valuable choice,
mm,
especially if they have low metal in their own energy or if their primary is one of the others.
mm,
Julie may just want to talk, she may have high earth and just
mm,
want to tell you a story and need to and want to build a relationship with you by being someone who can just share stories rather than come up with an action plan.
right, right. Yeah. That's what my wife sometimes says to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And water, sorry, water will be good for you. So make sure you stay hydrated with enough water. Make sure you get good sleep. Those allow you to pause and not have act on the impulse to give advice. Make sure on the earth side that you're eating, you're not skipping meals, that you feel like you're eating food that nourishes your body.
Mm,
And I would say start there for the next few days and then tell me tell me what's happening. Reach back out.
okay, I will. I will. Thank you so much. I appreciate all these tips. At least I get to know myself better. Um, I do know what the trigger points, but I didn't know how to, resolve them. Now I do have a better idea that I have tools to, fall back on whenever I feel those things again.